Hey there, gamers. I'm Gamer Binu. poe1 as early access was announced at Gamescom 2024. I was there to hear it firsthand and even got hands-on with poe1. I played both low-level characters at the booth and high-level ones on Jonathan's PC. This video kicks off a series of reviews I'll be uploading. Today, we're diving into what poe1 is all about. Alright, let's jump right in. poe1 cranks up the action compared to its predecessor. Just watch the warrior's movements and you'll see what I mean. The movements pack a real punch, feeling weighty and powerful. Now, the footage might look a bit slow-paced. Hands-on gameplay reveals satisfying weight to attacks and a vibrant feel, rather than slowness. While I do agree the early game pace is slower, it doesn't hinder the overall gameplay experience. As Jonathan said, it's really something you need to experience firsthand. poe1 as new dodge roll sees frequent use, mainly for timing evasions against powerful attacks. With no dedicated movement skill, mastering dodge roll is crucial to escaping danger. The dodge roll offers no invincibility frames, so precise timing is essential. However, shield-bearing classes like the warrior and templar can block attacks. Unlike poe1's passive blocking, you can actively raise your shield to defend. This effective damage mitigation might make shield-wielding classes a go-to for players who struggle with complex controls. All three streamers at the demo unanimously recommended the warrior class for newcomers. I'll dive deeper into beginner-friendly classes later, but for now, for early game strength, the witch, warrior, and mercenary stood out as the top 3 classes. Getting back to gameplay, boss fights really showcase the game's intense action, featuring both minor moves and one-hit kill attacks, which are plentiful and keep players alert. With game director Jonathan noting they balance bosses to expect about 3 deaths before players succeed.
You fight every boss. I expect you to die at least 3 times. Before you learn the mechanics. So don't play hardcore.
While the early bosses weren't too challenging, most boss fights left me scraping by, using up all my potions. Players struggling with controls can't always grind for better gear to make boss fights easier, but either way, expect to spend a good chunk of your first playthrough on boss fights. Unlike No Rest for the Wicked, which felt unfair or excessive at times, poe1's early game struck a better balance. poe1 puts more emphasis on gear and farming to power up than No Rest for the Wicked, and is much more skill-based than the original Poe or Diablo series. While boss fights are noticeably tougher and more complex than in the previous game, mastering, dodges, animation cancels, and high damage combos made learning damage rotations and boss patterns a blast for me. As the game progresses, both player and boss movements speed up significantly. I suspect they deliberately slowed down early game movements to help players into this faster pace. Now, let's discuss how approachable poe1 is for new players. It's clear that poe1 isn't just a simple upgrade from poe1, it's a whole new beast. Where poe1 threw players into a maze of complex skill trees and overwhelming choices from the start, poe1 takes a different approach, limiting initial choices to create a more welcoming experience for newcomers. Jonathan Rogers, a keen developer, mentioned in an interview that the poe team aimed to create a campaign that new players could navigate without consulting external guides. This approach is evident in the unskippable initial tutorial, which covers everything from equipping items to dodge rolling and skill selection, making the game's controls easy to grasp. One of our designers, who found poe1 challenging, tested it. Surprisingly, they found poe1 more enjoyable, despite its higher initial difficulty, thanks to its well-crafted tutorial. 쉽게 하시더라고요.
막힘없이 여기 첫 보스까지 잡았거든요.
그래요? 할만했어요?
네, 저 이런 적이 한 번도 없거든요. 네, 진짜 안제 짚는 것부터 하나하나 다 알려주는 거 같이 하면 포션 먹어라, 어떻게 피해라, 굴러서 피해라, 스페이스바 눌러라 이런 것까지 다 설명해줘요. 정말 디테일합니다.
Good. Now, let's discuss the passive skill system. At first glance, the passive tree looks as daunting as ever, but a closer look reveals significant differences. In poe1, early passive choices often balance DPS and survivability, with further options between attack speed and raw damage output. PoE2, however, pushes complex choices to later stages, simplifying early passive selections to basic options like defense or offense. Even at level 15, you're still choosing between elemental damages like fire and lightning or cold. This narrow range of options means players with similar skills will likely make similar choices. This approach of offering binary or ternary choices guides players towards specific builds, reminiscent of Diablo 4 as more structured build paths. Later stages do offer more choices, leading to efficiency gaps. This contrasts with PoE1, which presents multiple unexplained options from the start. PoE1 presented 5-6 choices without context, a significant difference in approach. Uncut gems received as rewards can be crafted into usable gems through skill crafting. This system limits skill choices based on the uncut gems level. It guides skill selection with detailed on-screen and voice explanations for each option. Veteran players can, of course, opt for skills outside their class. The key point is that it offers beginners a straightforward path. This might raise concerns about build diversity. With 36 classes available, they've only narrowed early game choices. Late game skill choices should allow for diversity comparable to PoE1. However, the approach to build optimization seems different. In PoE1, most builds can clear endgame content, so players focus on streamlining controls and boosting speed. In PoE2, however, combos offer significantly higher damage, boosters and support gems. For most content, choosing the right combo will be crucial for build design. It's actually quite challenging to boost damage using support gems. Support gems like Pierce or multiple projectiles, hit and clearing mobs, come with a steep damage penalty of nearly 30%. To curb power creep, even the increased attack speed support gem comes with a projectile damage penalty. For early game efficiency, it's best to use separate skills for single target damage and area clearing. Of course, with high-end gear, one-button play might become viable in the late game. For instance, the monk can generate power charges by killing enemies with specific skills. There is a skill that grants 150% damage amplification per bar charge accumulated. To use this combo early on, you'll need skills that both generate and consume power charges. However, as you unlock more ways to generate power charges in the late game, you'll be able to sustain power charges using just the Falling Thunder skill alone. Back to combos, the mercenary can freeze enemies with a nice shotgun, leaving behind bolts that can be detonated with another skill for area damage. These bolts all deal shotgun damage, so using other damage skills is more effective for clearing groups of monsters. First, you throw a grenade with a delayed explosion, then use the frost shotgun to freeze enemies, and finally hit them with a fire shotgun to complete a combo that deals massive burst damage. Since all skills have these combo possibilities, you can create builds focused on time or GIzing abilities, and then optimize your gear and passive skills to support these combos. With enough gear and currency, you could even create one-button or auto-cast builds, tailoring your items and passives to suit. The test version didn't include much of the endgame mapping content. It seems they're intentionally holding back on endgame content, focusing instead on showcasing PoE2 as early game and emphasizing its action-packed gameplay. As Jonathan noted in the interview, while most RPGs start off exciting, they often disappoint players later due to lack of content. Their confidence in releasing an early access version comparable to other games' full releases suggests that the release will be at least on par with PoE1's version 2.0, if not better. This is just speculation, of course, but to give you an idea, I had the chance to play a high-level character on Jonathan's computer. During this session, I was able to experience the ritual content firsthand. The ritual system is quite similar to PoE1, but it's been expanded to include at least 4 rituals instead of the previous limit. I've heard that once you complete all the ritual content, you unlock a final ritual where you can summon a boss it adds an exciting climax to the system. This is an upgrade from the previous system, where you simply complete any 4 rituals and be done. The new approach adds more depth and strategy. It seems they're systematically refining existing content, making incremental improvements across the board. If I haven't experienced this firsthand yet, let's move on to Jonathan's interview for more details.
Exile2, I don't think will have as much as what PoE1 has on day one, but I think by the time we've finished early access, it will have a very significant amount. One thing that we're doing is we're taking a lot of the leagues from PoE1 and redoing them in PoE2, which we can do relatively easily. Like give them new bosses and monsters and things like this, and refresh all the rewards and all that stuff. But it helps a lot with development to be able to do this. So that will mean that PoE2 will be able to create a lot of content very quickly. But also right now, our 100% focus is on the end game. We are going to try to add as much end game as possible because most action RPGs, when they first come out, the complaint that the user base has is, oh, it's good, but the end game is too short. And I want to avoid this. Even in early access, I want the end game to be significant. Yeah, we're going to be announcing our plans for end game closer to November. But at that time, we'll be announcing the full list of all the different in-game systems we will have, and there has to be many in order to make Path of Exile work. Yeah, it should be very substantial.
Another notable feature was the WASD control scheme. Well, initially, I was skeptical about having skills mapped to those keys, but it felt surprisingly comfortable during gameplay. For classes like Sorceress or Warrior with longer casting times, moving while attacking is crucial. So the WASD system, allowing free movement and skill use in any direction, worked perfectly. For the Mercenary class, Q and D keys are used for weapon switching and reloading instead of direct skill use, making the WASD controls feel even more natural as skills are activated with left click. For gamepad users, having flasks mapped to directional buttons made basic controls awkward. As occasionally targeting unintended mobs, these issues could use some refinement. Many players were curious about gold utilization in the game. Gold was scarce in the early game, limiting options for item purchase or gambling. An interview suggested that gold becomes plentiful late game, with gambling likely being the primary gold sink. At first, it felt more like playing Diablo 2 than poe1 or Diablo 4. While it's hard to compare with other hack-and-slash games due to its action focus, good skill combos can make it feel more hack-and-slash than poe1, even early on. I'd say it's closer to Diablo 2 than No Rest for the Wicked. It clearly wasn't tamed solely at existing poe1 players. It might retain half the poe1 player base while drawing in many new users. Naturally, you're probably wondering about this. As for whether it was fun, let me share an experience from Gamescom. After wrapping up PoE filming, we got free time to enjoy Gamescom. An hour later, 3 streamers reconvened at the PoE booth.
PoE 부스에 왔습니다. 한 번 더 왔고요. 저 못 해본 거 좀 더 해보려고 왔습니다.
I wanted to try Crimson Desert, but the line was too long, so I checked out Diablo for briefly before heading back to PoE2. When I got back, I found Chubong and Rona already engrossed in the game. Naturally, I don't expect all PoE1 players to enjoy it, as opinions will definitely vary. I think it'll appeal more to those who enjoy both character progression and the feeling of personal skill improvement. That wraps up our review for today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay ahead with all the latest PoE2 updates. See you next video. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.